All right. Hey, we're here. Look, so big deal. Lots of big deals going on right now in terms that sounds like a commercial for Black Friday, which is coming up later this month. But I'm talking about the 2020 election. Right now, we're trying to figure out who the next president's going to be. And I'm recording this, which for me is the biggest deal, which happens to be my 5 year anniversary of being sober. And November 6th, here we are. You know, I was thinking lots of stuff going on in my life right now where huge transitions, I said that transitions. By the way, sometimes if for some reason during the course of this, I have a big tongue, if I get stuck on that and I start to mix words or whatnot, it's just the way that it is. So bear with me on that. But what I was getting at right there is that lots of stuff going on in my life right now, lots of big movements, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it. So as I'm sitting here pondering and just kind of working with myself and etching out that next level for myself, I say, what would it be like and how fun would it be if I could actually jump on a podcast? And I haven't done one of these where I've talked basically direct to camera or direct into audio by myself because I seem to have to work alongside somebody. I can always draw out of people what are good lessons and have a great conversation and what have you. But I'm stepping out on a ledge right here with this one for lots of different reasons. In any sense, 5 years of sobriety has taught me a lot. And I'm going to tell you right now that I've been on one heck of a journey since I made that decision to give up the alcohol and the drugs and the gambling and all the other addictions that came along with that to where I'm at this very moment. I can't be more thankful, more grateful. And along that roller coaster ride, so many great people have stepped into my life. So many experiences have taken place. And even more recently, I've left what was a pretty dang cool position over here in Vegas with Lightspeed, where I was working with the public figures and the celebrities and the managers of Hollywood and creating deals and getting them on board to do their online training and really just going in there and basically attacking Masterclass. Like, and I mean that. It was us and me versus Masterclass, and I loved it, and we were doing it. We were actually taking business away from them, which was pretty cool. So, nonetheless, why I got out of that position to go out and build my own thing. And I'm going to talk about a lot of what's happened all in between right there. But before I do, I got all kinds of notes here, by the way. So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, you can see me here in the camera, but I have notes. I'm going to reference some things. But nonetheless, I do want to start off with just giving the credit where the credit is due because there have been, I don't even want to say a handful. There have been a lot, many, many handfuls of people that have jumped in and participated in this big transformation for me. And look, you have a choice with your time. You have basically a million different things you can do. And so if you're listening to this right now, first of all, I appreciate you for that. Second of all, you could be doing anything else with your time. And so I want to make this the most valuable session or basically arena that you can put your ears, your brain, your thinking into for the next, and this could be a little bit longer than I expect. But my goal is for you to get some real value out of this and be able to say, hey, you know what? That's interesting. Maybe that could help me. Maybe that could, put me in a position to, find the next level of your life or whatever that might be, especially right now with everything that's going on as we get ready to turn a corner into 2021. Because let's just say that we both know, wow, that's basically if I was talking to somebody directly across from me. All of us know that 2020 has been a big disruption for sure. So my goal here is to set you up with some insights that I have learned, right, over the course of these 5 years, and some lessons and some hacks and some cool things that will definitely put you in position to make some more of whatever the situations are that you are in. So stay with me here. Promise it's gonna be a lot of fun. Tell some stories and really kind of put myself out there and stretch the imagination a little bit so that you can pick some stuff up. And heck, if one thing works for you, great, then that will have been a victory for you. But like I said, what I want to do is start off with, giving credit and just, my sincerest appreciation and grace for the people that have been involved in this whole thing. And again, I'm going to probably miss some people. So if I do miss your name and you're listening, don't scream at me. Don't text me and say, why didn't you mention me? And what have you. But I'm pretty much going to start from the top and go down to like present day today. And just give them some love, So first and foremost, my pops, I mean, godly, the basically the human that I am today from a believe standpoint and what I feel is possible. If it wasn't without that guy, then, probably wouldn't be in this position. Then you got my best friends, Ross and David. These boys have been running with me for, godly, I can't even count now. It feels like it's almost so long. I think Ross for 15 years. Yeah, over 15 years. David, godly, I think almost running on 10 now. But these guys have been there through the ups and the downs. They've seen the good, the bad, the ugly, but they never left my side in being good humans and good friends and supporting me. And now we're rocking and rolling together as a unit, even though, everybody has their own respective adult lives and they're blossoming. Great, great appreciation for them. Um, as I got into the sober space, when I was working in the nightclubs out here, JP, John Panage, for, being a great manager, giving me the ability to have the freedom of time to create and build some things so I can really start to own myself, which was amazing. Obviously, Ramey, who I've mentioned in my book. By the way, for those of you that see on YouTube, if you haven't read Las Vegas, The Art of Finding Joy in Sin City, my book that I wrote several years back at the beginning of the sober transformation journey, then I suggest you go pick it up. It is on Amazon. It tells you the whole backstory. I'm not going to cover the whole backstory because that is highlighted in the book for the most part. For those of you that know the story, for those of you that don't, I would highly suggest you go pick that book up because you will really learn some stuff about life. It's like, oh God, and think about what it would be like growing up in Vegas and being consumed with the alcohol, the drugs, the gambling, the rock and roll lifestyle, so to say, even though I was far from a rock and roll guy, funny enough, but acting like it, right? Just, false identity to say the least. So, check that book out. Ramey, when I got sober, I hired a speaking coach, and as it turns out, it was a blessing in disguise. She ended up giving me this sense of how to find out my voice and really kind of put me in position and send me on that track, discover some of the things that were eating away at me with the previous life. So, that's a big, big deal. My boy Colin, who was the first guy after I basically had this transformation that allowed me to coach him, which is funny. He's like, dude, I'll let you coach me. I know what you're up to, man. I want to see what you got. So yeah, I didn't charge him. I was just doing it gratuitously. And then sure enough, obviously we're still friends. In fact, we're going to a Friendsgiving with him and his lovely wife here in a week or so in good old Huntington Beach. Then I move into obviously the guys and the mentors that have really kind of helped me elevate at a big, big level. Chris Beisch, obviously, is the gentleman that owned the company when I got sober that, kind of helped me open my eyes to this whole new life, doing some big things in business, making some great money, great human being. And I'm incredibly grateful for what he has helped me realize. I'll never forget that day in the office where we had come off of, at least I had come off of my decision. We're in there, we're watching some stuff from the boiler room and we're getting all pumped up. And it really helped me set off in a direction that would be invaluable for the rest of my life. So that's important. Tell Tracy, who, I call him my spiritual mentor. He wrote the forward in my book, still a great human being. And some of these people, by the way, if you're listening right now and I haven't connected with you in a while, it's not because, we've got disconnected. It's just because we got so much going on and life is evolving and we get busier and busier and busier. But, this is a great place for me to go in and say, look, I haven't forgot about you all. I still love you to death. And I thank you for everything that you've done for me and continue to just know that you have a big place in my heart and in my transformation. So I want to make sure that you know that, or you hear that, or if, this thing lives on forever, especially this audio, that, there was mention of it. Another one, Winston Breeden, met this guy when I was, still fucking off and partying. But this guy, absolutely ended up being a great human being, great leader, great mentor, runs a really massive company out of Ohio in the multiple 9 figures. So, beautiful situation there. And then obviously, transitioning into, and I know I just said that a few seconds ago, but let me try that again. I'm bringing it back one more time. Bill Walsh. I mean, I don't even know what to say about that situation outside of how blessed I was to be able to connect with this human being and be taken on the journey with him, which is really one of the biggest pivot points in my life. Obviously, he's with Power Team International, one of the OGs as far as it's selling from the platform and being integrated into that whole speaker world. I mean, as good as they get. So I love that man. without that, I wouldn't be where I am today. Obviously, Eric Swanson, the same thing, gave me an opportunity to come in, interview some of his top level speakers. And, these guys come from the backgrounds with doing it with the Titans, the Brian Tracy's and the Tony Robbins, and being on the platforms with the Les Browns, the Kevin Harrington, all these great people, right? So I'm just like, whoa, what's happening here? Victor Antonio, obviously. And by the way, I'm trying to go in sequence of order here, just so you know, like I'm trying to, keep it really methodical so I don't forget anybody. Victor Antonio, can't say enough about this human being in the sense that he is one of the top three. There are three people that have been great leaders to me. Victor Antonio is one of them, and who I consider a great leader, who's poured into me whenever I had questions or was making a big life decision to pivot and make another move. Victor has always answered the phone, has always spent his time with me, and has always reached out to me to check in to see how I'm doing. And not only that, he's educated me and created me to become a better human being. So that's just amazing. Adam Markell, so the author of Pivot, obviously so much more than an author. He was a big figure in spending some early time with when I got out on the circuit, and started going around the country and speaking. He's just a heart-centered human being. I really learned a lot from him, spent some great time on calls and Zooms with him where he was just mentoring me. Beautiful, beautiful situation, right? So then Brian Nieves, another guy that I admired, and he was on the platform when, I went to my first ever event here in Las Vegas and watched Les Brown. Brian was speaking, and I'm like, God, Lee, one day I want to be like those guys, right? One day. And sure enough, Brian became a mentor. We ended up traveling and speaking together, part of the same company, and we're still friends and we still communicate. And by the way, for the most part, most of these people I still do this with, still communicate at a high level. And then obviously, I met Stephen Pierce over the course of this journey. Again, by the way, and I'm not putting Victor and now Stephen as the number two leader that I found. This guy is the single one person that has poured more into me consistently over the longest period of time to help me become who I am today. And I'll probably share more about that later down the road. But this man, I mean, you don't even understand. It is at a very high level, and how he thinks, what he does, and he's a hard ass on me sometimes, and he can kind of get into me and challenge me, and had our beefs, but it's a love hate thing, but it's mostly love, because we're constantly working on improving, right? And then you have I switched gears and I went over to doing some stuff with Lightspeed. So obviously Natasha and Tony, I mean, for giving me the opportunity and putting me in position to learn some more and connect with some great people. Bradley, obviously CEO of Lightspeed, for allowing me to be there and have an environment to learn and grow and get my ass kicked in phone rooms, and then go up and end up in the celebrity brand and partner position, and give me that freedom there to a level where I felt like there was more for me to do outside there before I pivoted. And at that same time is when I met my other dearest and the third charm of the whole journey, which is Mr. George Chanos, obviously. So you got George Chanos, Stephen Pierce, and Victor Antonio, the top three leaders that have been there for me. George and I, again, you get just this incredible human being, former Attorney General of Nevada, chairman of Capriati's Sandwich Shop. See how I said that? Sandwich Shop, and author, speaker. Is really committing his life now to helping millennials like me and others become better human beings. This man is as good as they come from a character standpoint. His heart and soul are so pure. It's incredible, like incredible. So I'm blessed to have him here in Vegas as well. So we meet often and we connect and we communicate. We have dinners, lunches, and all that, talk big business, and really get out and make some big dents in the world. So I think I got most of the people there. So yeah, yep. That have had an impact there, that have really made a big difference. And then the last one, last but not least, and this is going to be a unique one, and we're probably going to jump on together down the road, probably not very far off from the release of this episode, but meeting the love of my life, the Miss Queen herself, Princess KT. Yes. So I know. Probably like, what are you saying, Manny? Yep. So no doubt about it. Absolutely no question. that I met my match, my maker, the love of my life. It's just so harmonious, right? And to get to that point has been the culmination of the 5 years of some of the stuff that talk about here in this particular podcast. But couldn't be more happy for that situation. It feels so natural and just part of my being that I met someone that's basically makes me better, is so pure in her heart and full of love, comes from it, and wants the best for others, and really has just her own set of unique gifts. And bottom line is, we just make each other better. So couldn't be more thrilled than that. All right. So now that we got that out of the way, so like I said, if I have missed you, don't scream at me, don't yell at me, send me a message because I'm sure we're connected. But then there's also indirect people that I've learned from, and I can go on with a laundry list of those, all the way from the Patrick Beck Davids, the Ed Miletts, the Tim Grovers, the Lewis Howes, all these, I mean, godly, all of them, right? So one of the things that has helped me evolve quickly has been my obsession with learning. And it hasn't always been this way. In fact, I want to kind of give you a sequence of events that transpired in order for me to even be here at this point with you to offer what I know. Not saying it's going to be the life-changing thing, but it could. It could help you with this or that. But obviously, it started back when I decided to get sober. So that's the idea, right? And that's why we're here, which was a very big pivotal moment. From there, I ended up kind of investing in myself like a psychotic, obsessive, addicted man to this new idea of learning about who I could become and tapping into my potential, right? So that's where that all started. And then from there, and I'm going to kind of give you the synopsis. I wrote the book. I started going to classes here at a local school for hospitality to kind of figure out what direction I wanted to take this whole thing. And then I started the podcast. I had the gift, right? So this is important. Back when I was working in the nightlife, and always, people don't know this, and I have mentioned this in a few different situations, I would always go up to people that had money and go purposely put myself in situations, whether that was down the street at the Wynn, sit at the bar, buy a $2 iced tea, and strike up a conversation with the guy next to me because he looked like he had money, and try to put myself out there and get business contacts and raise money for projects that I was working on and what have you. And what I was good at was asking questions, right? So I was just asking questions that I could always connect with people. It's like, damn, God just gave me that gift. Ask questions and connect with people. Just sit down. For some reason, we had a mutual attraction. So I took that in this transformational period, and then I said, well, let me just try to start a podcast because and I got to build something. I got to do one thing or the other. So if I'm looking to go down and start to change people's lives, and if I want to start telling my story, what do I have to do, man? What's the entry point, right? And so the barrier to entry that I learned was writing the book and building a platform and having a podcast. Which, by the way, if you're on right now, you've been a contributor and a supporter of that. So that's amazing, and I thank you for being here. And if you're the first time here, I hope this serves you and you continue to be along here, because one thing I'm going to tell you, I'm going to keep doing these, and it's something that I'll share with you later about how I should have kept doing this to begin with, but it's okay because we all have our journeys nonetheless. So anyway, I start the podcast. I start interviewing some great people, and then I start meeting some more great people, and then all of a sudden it starts to, really go. Now, I didn't take it that seriously because I had some points in there where I started to go do a lot of other work for other people. So that became more of the main focus, right? So I do that, and then I get brought in to go and travel the country with Bill Walsh and Power Team International. So like that's when my whole life started to change dramatically, right? And I'm at this point where now I'm going around, I'm speaking, and I am learning how to be on the platform, learning how to be a public speaker, learning how to really optimize this whole process and get out there and rid myself of a lot of the things that I was terrified of from before. I did that for a couple of years, went over to do some stuff with the Habitude Warrior, had some wrestling matches there where we weren't not necessarily connected fully, went back to do some stuff with Power Team. After Power Team and I hit our max and I hit a capstone, I decided that it was time to pivot again. So I went and started working with Lightspeed, and I had a purpose to go to Lightspeed, and then in Lightspeed, I just kind of shot off like a rocket ship in the side of that company. And then I stepped up to start running and building, as one would say, the celebrity brand and sports division, where I was literally hunting, sourcing, managing, driving the projects for the public figures, the celebrities. And I took that bull by the horns, and boy, did I drive that son of a gun to the moon. And then basically through that, we kept going. We had some great clients coming on board, and then this whole 2020 thing starts to shake up everything, and really made me start to reconsider, what the heck I was doing, and evaluate why, I was here on this planet, and if I was really at the point where I wanted to continue to do things for other people and build their companies, when here I have developed myself in a matter of a few years to a point where I can go and start to do this for myself, right? Because what I was able to do was equip myself with a lot of different skills that I found to be very useful in everyday life and in business. And the one thing that I didn't know how to do was actually, well, now still build a business. Because look, there's a difference between having a good skill set, right? And being able to go and train and teach on how to get good at a specific skill set. Like I can teach you how to have better conversations. By the way, Plant a Seed, my online course, is in its first iteration, meaning it's done. So if y'all after this want to get in touch with me and see how you can get your hands on that, make sure you do send me an email at support@salesappeal.net. Send me an email if you're interested in learning how to have conversations that convert, where we break down a formula where, oh my God, your life is never going to be the same. I can guarantee you that. That is a promise. Send me that email, okay? Support@salesappeal.net. I will pop in and we'll get on the phone and we'll talk about, hey, what does it take to get to that point where I can basically extract and show you the formula that I have learned, but because I've been taught by the Titans. And we have collaborated on this, myself and Steven, to put together something very magical for you so that you know what it takes to get out there and basically get what you want out of life. That's very important, right? So, all right. But in this whole process, my whole focus for the last 5 years, and the reason I'm saying like, hey, I know some stuff, not only because I've done it and I continue to do it and I'm obsessed with learning, but because the people that are in my corner that have made tens of millions of dollars and that have proven this, like these aren't just people that I watch online. I've spent time with these people. I currently spend time with these people, and they pour into me so much and they teach me so much that I got to a point where I said, damn, all right, I can go out to the world now and start to share what I've learned. And that's what validates why I can be here having this conversation with you, because who I've learned from and who I have relationships with, it's like I'm so thankful, because people would like to trade shoes in the situations that I am. And look, if you talk to anybody that has spent time with me or worked alongside me, they will tell you, whether they like me or not, I don't give a shit. They respect me because of how I work and how I perform and the approach that I take. And then nobody can argue that. Nobody can argue that, whether that was with me traveling the country and speaking, whether that was with me, doing phone calls in the sales room at Brad's place. It doesn't matter. People know that I'm no nonsense when it comes to doing the work and getting the job done. Now, I also say that very lightly because I want to bring in a couple of the things that I've had some challenges with, which was a lot of what's been going on these last couple days for me, and dissecting how I could really hit another launch pad and a launch point for where I'm at in my personal life has been the process of auditing myself and really thinking about where I'm having these conflicts and why I can be doing something successfully, but still have a resistance that's pulling me the opposite direction. I was like, this is frustrating, because what I've done in such a short period of time and what I've moved through has allowed me to do X, but I want to do Y. And I can't solve for why just yet because I don't understand what this resistance is. Now, I can tell you right now that one thing that has helped me tremendously was the muscle of courage. I've had just this innate ability, even though I've had some tremendous fear and some tremendous doubt, my courage has allowed me to step into situations that most people would probably pee their pants with, right? And I've just thrown myself out there knowing and expecting that I'm going to make mistakes and that I come back with a new set of data points where I can evaluate that and how I can get better, right? So putting yourself out there on the line is important. I'll tell you right now, it's so funny. When I went to my first ever meetup for public speaking was here in Las Vegas. And what happened was I went to this meeting and I remember I was so terrified that I basically, and you all know this, right? Your armpits start sweating, you start shaking. You can't breathe and talk when you're going to get in front of a room. It's like, oh my God, it's like death, right? Um, so I go to this little event. It's over in Summerlin out here. I think it was Mimi's Cafe, and there was two people there. There was literally two people. And so, we got to get up and start talking and speaking. I'm like, oh, this is going to be terrible. This is going to be so. But by this point, I had made the decision that I was going to be a speaker, that I wanted to start training and leading this life, right? By the way, go in that direction. Who the hell knew what was going to happen from there moving forward? But nonetheless, I got up there, I did it, and I said, okay, I'm good. Like, I'm great. I felt so powerful and so unbelievably strong because here I am at this stage where it's like, okay, I had this breakthrough. Great. Now, let's think about this feeling. How do I feel right now? Is this feeling serving me? Okay, great. Now, can I take this feeling and duplicate it? Can I multiply it over time? And the answer became yes, because like, look, if I can get up here and do this, and the absolute worst thing that can happen in life, I think, is normally it's literally death, right? Um, then I'm going to be all right. And it wasn't until later that I started to understand and appreciate the value of learning about mortality. So, one book, if somebody ever asked me, right now, by the way, people have asked me, I mean, plenty of times, what's your number one most recommended book right now, as it stands, is The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Okay, that book was single-handedly the one that had the most direct impact on me for lots of reasons. But there was one chapter in that book at the very end, and it's phenomenal how they did this. They decided to put it at the very end so it would leave you after you just had this wonderful experience of reading and learning, understanding psychology and how humans work at a fundamental level, and then going into the last chapter where it talks about mortality and why mortality is the thing that terrifies us the most. But the minute that you make sense of and peace with the fact that we're all mortal, right? And that we're all going to die, coming to terms with that is what really sets your ass on fire. And I said, wow, that's fascinating. Because you're living in fear of death, right? Whether it's physical or internal, right? Invisible in some cases, it prevents us from stepping into certain things that we want to do fully and living our dreams and becoming everybody that we know we could be, in the sense that I'm either going to fully evolve and develop myself, or I'm going to be stuck in this trap of this body, hoping and wishing and, conjuring up these ideas of why I can't do things. But no, damn it, no. Make peace with mortality. And when you do that, you will live a completely different life. And so why I say that is because, like I said, there's going to be several hundreds of thousands, probably between everybody here collectively, events and situations where you're going to feel like you need to go out and do something to get over that next layer and to jump up a stage, right? And making peace with your mortality is a big, big deal, right? So that's a big lesson that I learned. Now, when I started evaluating my life and tracing it back to my childhood, for those of you that don't know, I was confronted with death multiple times, twice to be exact, at a very young age, between my car accident, which I have the scar for on my face here, and between the asthma attacks and being bottled up in hospitals without, really being able to breathe. So like I was literally in a car wreck that pretty much killed me, hit at 50 miles an hour, right on the side that I was sitting as a young 5-year-old. Adults don't survive those in the real world nowadays, right? So, I went to this place where I know that situation, my brush with death, actually created a hyper awareness and this inner sense of like, okay, all right, dude, like, you're here, like, let's go make something of it. So I knew that is a very big contributor to why I have been able to muster through a lot of this for such a long period of time, right? And it's important that we realize that this life and that this journey is forever evolving. And I was able to cue in on something that was pretty fascinating, in the sense that there are a lot of people out there who have accomplished so much. And, again, I know you've probably seen the famous picture of Jeff Bezos where, 20-ish years ago, he's sitting in his little room and now you got, worth a couple hundred billion, right? It's almost unridiculous. Did I just make that up? See what I mean? Unbelievable in the sense that that's possible. But so we are comparing our, day one versus their day 3000s, right? And so I think that sometimes we misrepresent the process. And that's a big thing that I learned over the course of this journey is that there's a process that we need to follow. There's a process to everything. Now, there's a lot of little details in that and ways that we can sort of shortcut it. And I'm not talking about unhealthy shortcuts. I'm talking about, finding good people, putting yourself in position to hack, right? And I say hack in a bad way. I'm talking about hack your success, hack your brain, hack your energy, right? And there's ways to do it. But following a process where you are putting yourself in position to go sequentially through a formula that by the pure essence of following the process, you dump out a result on the other side, right? And without knowing what that process is, then we kind of get stuck to guessing, and guessing sucks, right? So you got to imagine every time we decide to do something, we're at a point, and this point, we've got to start to internalize how this is kind of becoming a part of our environment and what we decide that we want to do. So in my case, when I went to travel and speak, I had to learn how to get on stage and I had to learn how to communicate and learn how to sell products from stage, not even my own products, somebody else's products, right? Okay, great. So what's the process? Okay, great. Well, I need to learn how to sell. Okay, great. Well, I need to learn how to change my voice. I need to learn how to have inflection. I need to learn how to move on stage, right? I need to learn how to connect with people. I need to learn jokes. I need to go practice behind the scenes, which is very important. Okay, so great. There's the process that if I'm here and responsible for doing this job, then that's what I need to do. That's my process. And I just need to focus on the process, right? Then, if you're going out and you're making phone calls like we were in the phone room for quite some time, what's the process to getting somebody on the phone and have an effective conversation where by the end of that call, so if you're cold calling and you're prospecting, you get an appointment, right? That's one micro position of it. Then you're talking about, okay, well, you got a demo scheduled. Now you got to go out and actually do a great presentation. What's the process in there? What markers do I need to hit in the process to get me the result so that when I'm done, I can look back and evaluate and say, damn, that was really good. Okay, I hit my markers and now I have very investigative data where I can go back and source ways to improve, right? Same thing when I went up to start working with the celebrities and create that situation, reaching out, connecting, presenting, managing the projects. What's the process? So I say that to say that because in your life, depending on where you are right now, and having the triangulation of where it is that you want to go, process is very important because look, if I know that I want to go to the top of the mountain and I'm starting at the bottom and I need to go that way, well, I'm going to be evaluating and sourcing information and data to figure out, well, what do I need to do to get to the top of that mountain? Okay, who's done that before? Are there any tools and any other ways that I can get up the mountain? Do I have to go and look around the back of the mountain where maybe there's a helipad, or do I have to just keep walking? But it's your duty. That's your responsibility to figure out what that process is as it relates to what your current position is with where you're at in your life. By the way, there's a process for lots of different things. Now, I understand some of you might be thinking, oh, I'm a flamingo, because I'm a flamingo, right? This is hard to really kind of sequence it down and put it in a formula and follow something where it's like, oh, God, no. Well, trust me, that's why if you look at some of the top performers, whether that's in business, whether that's in life, they follow formulas, right? They have processes. And by following those, you have a better chance of producing a result that you want. If not, you're just guessing, right? And I don't know that we have the adequate time in our lives to figure out what it is that I want to be guessing on. Because look, and as you know, our commodity of time, the reason we do things to play at a high level, the reason we do what we do, whether it's to make more money, is because we want to spend more quality time doing the things that matter the most to us, right? Everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants to go out and build these big businesses. But at the end of the day, it's because you want the time, right? It's you want that freedom to use that time to go out there and do something spectacular, travel the world. Look, I know for me, I've always said, I want freedom, point blank, right? And I've done a pretty damn good job of creating a freedom lifestyle for me. And with that, I'll tell you, make yourself indispensable. Make yourself so good and so valuable that if you're working for a company, or if you put yourself in position to, go out there and, sell some products for somebody, that they need you more than you need them. At that point, you can pretty much write your own ticket, right? Because you've developed yourself to have such a samurai set of skills in multiple arenas, that from your mindset to your physical skill set to your verbal skill set to your execution skill set, nobody can do it better than you. Now, granted, there are people out there. There always is someone that's doing it better, and there's always somebody that's doing it less. Don't worry about either one. Do you be in the middle and focus on what game you're playing and how you can set yourself up to constantly be in the best possible position. So I was bringing that up because there's a fundamental that I learned, which was the growth speed, right? In life, we're about acceleration. This whole idea of progress and becoming more and developing. If somebody's got 20 years of experience on me and they did it and they have been at that point for, what took them 20 years, but then they got to that 20-year point and now they're stagnant. They're kind of just chilling. They're not doing very much anymore at that point. But I'm looking at myself over here and I'm in 5 years now, right? And I'm like, damn, I'm almost at that 20-year point that person got to because they've cooled off and they've started to chill out. I'm going to get there in 7 years or actually 8. Because at this rate, I'm looking at like, hey, I'm right there with you, man. I'm on the same battlefield. And I've got some weapons and I've got some tools where, the only thing I'm missing is A, B, or C, right? And so now you're checking yourself out. And I don't say that to compare. I say that to get a good observation of what your speed, what your rate of speed is, what your velocity is to getting more done and accomplishing more in a shorter period of time. Now, I can only say that that's what I've done and that's how I've looked at it and figured this thing out, where I'm more focused on how fast can I accelerate. And in doing that, you'll learn certain techniques and certain tactics. In fact, a couple of things that I can share here with you, that I think that would have made a little bit of a bigger difference for me regardless, in this whole process. But like I said at the beginning of this, or more earlier, having your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. And I can tell you that that has been something that's paralyzed me in a way. Well, it hasn't stopped me, but it's affected me, because if I had my foot fully off the brake, then I'd just be, whew, right? And again, I'm not upset with the fact that this is where I'm at. I'm just saying that this is something that I work tirelessly on every day to get better at, because at the end of the day, I don't want to have any resistance. Like, I feel that it is all self-imposed, whether it's on an emotional level, whether it's on a spiritual level, whether it's, you're talking about, physical, right? If I'm not taking care of my body and I'm not going and working out and I'm not eating healthy, well, then guess what? Um, I've got some resistance there. Like, I can't perform at the optimum level that I desire to, right? And that's something you have to make a decision on. Do you desire to perform at a certain level that has expectations that will allow you to get to where you want to be faster, right? So for me, I was romancing and continued to romance, um, the fears, the doubts, the comparisons. Um, and I shared this with my love the other day. I said, look, sick and tired. I'm sick and tired of feeling this friction, this resistance where I just don't know what's holding on to the back of my shirt and pulling me backwards. I don't say that I don't know that I didn't know. I said, I don't know why I can't just let it go. And I think it's because there was more comfort in the fact that that was what was familiar to me. And this is some deep level shit, by the way. I'm not talking about, like, it is at a very surface level. We hear it all the time. Oh, reprogram your brain. I've been doing it for 5 damn years and trying out a bunch of stuff and reached a lot of different pinnacles as far as I see it. But this one thing, it's like, I'm so confused. I'm scratching my head as to why I can't get past that. So I said, you know what? I've got over something before. And the way that I did it, the same way that I made the decision to give up the alcohol, the drugs, and the gambling, is because I was fucking sick and tired. I was so sick and tired of living my life like that. And it got to a point where the loss, the destruction, and the not being who I knew I was destined to be got so tiring that I didn't want anything to do with it anymore, right? So now here we are. I get sober, 5 years moving forward, and I'm at the same point where I'm like, okay, dude, like I have the chills. Like you're doing something spectacular. Like you have proved yourself. Manny, you have proven to yourself that you can go into anything you want and you can get it done, right? Um, you're indispensable. Like I can go get a job. I could go get a job with any company in the world right now and make myself one of their top people and step in and be a part of their network. I don't want that. I refuse to go back to the world of working, right? In the sense that I'm working for somebody else. Part of why I decided to leave and go and start, my training company and put the online course together and start helping people learn what it is I know how to do, right? So my point of this is that I got sober and I'm at this point right here, which is very cool, at this injunction point where it's like 5 years, I'm having another breakthrough, right? I'm having another transformation where I have said to myself, I am so sick and tired of being so driven and so powerful and getting certain things done. But I'm also fed up with the fact that there's still a part of me that's just dragging me back, holding me back. And I was like, it's time to let that go. My dependency, my emotional insecurities in some areas that try to surface up at a deep, deep level of unconsciousness, that stuff was still controlling me. And I said, I'm over it. I'm done. And it's time to go out and figure this thing out. So that was a big bondage separation. Like it was like the whole world had been freed. And I thought before that this whole thing was working for me. But when I got a true taste of kind of being so frustrated and being honest with myself and very, very, very real about what was holding me back, I was able to say, okay, I've been here before. I've parted ways with the addiction. I've parted ways with the things that are holding me back. And it's time to let that go. Hell, I don't care that it took me what's going to be 35 years in January, 34 years, 5 years in the sober process, right? Look, I'm telling you that I have tried and read all the books. I don't all the books. I take that back. Not all of them. Lots of books. Put all kinds of things into motion. Practice this. Done that. Nonstop. Obsessively. And I don't say that lightly. Obsessed with learning. Freakish with learning and getting better. Right. Always on the grow. So that's the name of the podcast because it's true. That literally embodies me. And I'm here to share that with you. So 5 years to get to a point where I had got frustrated. I was frustrated with the life of shit before getting sober, and in between sober and 5 years today, I was sick and tired of that whole thing holding me back because I'm like, whoa, like, dude, you're not the same person. You're ready to go fly, and I'm talking like fly, and you're gonna just really flip this whole thing upside down, and it's gonna be like, whoa, like that is certainly not the Manny that I just thought I knew from a couple of months ago, and it's game on. Which is why this, by the way, part of what you're listening to right now is part of that. Because look, there's a big thing that I realized, like if I could have done it differently, one thing right now that stands out that if I could have done differently in this whole journey from deciding to get sober to today, it would have been to continue to focus on my creativity. Now, that doesn't mean that I didn't get on stage and I didn't get to use my personality on my phones and with people that I connected with. I certainly did. But there are certain other creative endeavors like this, for example, that I started off with, like writing and getting on podcasts and interviewing people that I knew I was good at, that God had just gifted me something. And I suppressed that because I was doing work for other people. Now I made that trade-off. I was able to say, but hey, again, in my mind, I could just be rationalizing it. The fact is that if I look back in hindsight, I'm thinking to myself, nah, I could have made time for that easily. I just gave myself reasons not to. So that was the one big thing that came from that was do not suppress your creativity for whatever reason. And again, I think creativity is innate. I think it's a muscle that you can work on. So it might not be being on camera for you or using your voice or writing some stuff down, but creativity lies in every single one of us. And I think that is the magic inside of us that breathes some life into us. And here's the difference, whether you turn your creativity into a revenue source or you monetize it and make a business out of it, which is where a lot of people get stuck because it's true. You have great artists that just don't know how to sell or make business of it. Well, you have great uh, people that are on the air that just do it for somebody else and they get miserable because they don't know how to go out and build their own company. So, again, those are all skills that you have to develop and you have to work on freakishly to get better at in order to go out there and put yourself in position to really dominate and conquer because that's just what it takes. Now, the one thing that I've realized here is that, look, I've been helping people, I've been learning, and I'm thankful for that, and developing crazily. And then I was helping other people where in my mind I said, you know, if I give myself X amount of time to go out there and prove to myself, like I can go into any environment, do anything, and get good at this and show people that I can drive a result, that at some point I will have hit my point where it's like, okay, time to go do it for yourself. So that brings me to what made me decide to um, very honestly and I don't want to say comfortably, decisively choose in the middle of this crazy thing to remove myself from being in a corporate environment, getting a salary, and working with public figures. And I'll tell you, at the same time that COVID was taking place, now remember, I live here in Vegas and I'm 12 stories up here on the strip. I look out over the strip. Believe me when I tell you, remember, I'm from here my whole life. My whole life. This is my home, like literally my backyard. I tell you, this is my backyard. Damn it, I can see right out over my house where I grew up as a kid, and this is my backyard. You're damn right I take some serious pride in it. But when they shut all the lights off from the strip, like they literally shut this place down, it was crazy. I remember sitting down right here in my window and looking out over. I had my feet up and I was sitting back in my chair and I said, holy shit, I now understand the value of all the work of personal development I've been doing for the last, at this point, 4.5 years. I truly felt the result of it because I had no fear. I wasn't concerned about a job. I wasn't concerned that I can go and get something done. I had nothing. Now you take me back, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. I'm working in these damn places, doing nightclubs and restaurants, like decimated, completely decimated. And I'd have been like, oh my God, that'd have been me. Like I've been freaking out trying to have a job, pivot, and all these crazy things. So it was at that moment where I sat down with myself. I said, oh my God, here is why this paid off. And it paid off in spades, right? Okay, great. So now here we are, we're working from home remotely now, and I'm helping these people out kind of get their online trainings up. By the way, this has just disturbed everything. COVID really kind of messed everything up. People were like, not doing stuff and they're doing stuff. So what happened was I took it as an opportunity. And I want you to pay very close attention to what I'm about to say right here because this is so freaking powerful for me. May not be powerful for you, but it could be. I took the opportunity where there was no certainty. I mean, the world had just been swept out from under its feet, right? I mean, everybody, job security, professions, marriages, everything probably in shambles, right? Still, recovering, or maybe still is happening. Um, but it was the most uncertain time in my lifetime, in life for general, that I said, okay, right here is a grand EOS opportunity for me to throw myself out there and basically jump off of a cliff without a parachute and put myself in position to prove to myself that I can stand on my own 2 feet and separate myself, distance myself from comfort and from security. Because again, at Lightspeed, I was making a salary. So there was comfort in that. I'd made money doing other stuff and what have you. There's just that little bit of comfort. There's that whole holding on to it, right? Um, but here I was, I had skills, I had mindset, I had experience. And I thought to myself, well, if I go and I just say, hey, I want to step back, I don't want the salary anymore. I'll go into an independent contractor role. I'll still manage these clients and do some things, and we'll see how it goes. So I basically surrendered that to go out and take care of some clients. But then again, what happened was, everybody wasn't as motivated. Nobody was moving as quickly. It was like, okay, again, I was being held back by what they wanted to do. And so I'm in the middle of this. I'm like, you know what? Like I'm over here making the biggest moves of my life. And by the way, I'm like a bull charging. I'm ready to go. And so I'm like, no, I'm not going to get held up anymore. So that was when I was like, look, I'm leaving this. I'm parting ways so that I can go out and do my own thing, because I looked at it as, if I can make this decision in the middle of this environment where everybody's freaking out and panicking, then I will have reached another level in my identity growth that can never be taken away from me. And so I was willing to cut ties and willing to disconnect from something that had me, certain, and had me a little bit sure. Where I was like, no, 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 because I prefer to be the example. I don't care if people say good things about me or whatever. That's everybody else's opinion. That's how they live. Now, I have cared and I've had to work on this, but getting better. But at the end of the day, I want you to see that this is about action, right? Nobody here is talking about certain things that work and don't work. What I'm sharing with you, I do, like literally. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You ask anybody that sat next to me or watched me work or perform, they will not be able to say that Manny don't do the job. Manny doesn't get the job done. They're everywhere. Ask them. That's my point. There's too much noise out there nowadays where it's just about, let me just blah, let me just tell you what to do. Let me just tell you what to do. And by the way, nobody's actually doing it. It's like, damn, that's hardcore, right? So here we are. I make this transition. By the way, at that time, I'm over here making calls on the phone for a friend, Sir Ty Cohen. Shout out to him. And selling tens of thousands of dollars every week from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. before my hours at this time for Lightspeed start, and then from 6 p.m. to 10, 11 p.m. at night as a side hustle. We're crushing it. We're selling left and right. So I was out there having fun with that. Um, I start to back off. We're heavy in training. We're heavy in getting better at this time and learning, a very good discipline. And I said, okay, it's time for me to go build my own stuff. It just is time. Um, and that moment and that decision to do that, I basically said, okay, I'm gearing up for an area of my life where, if you've heard my story before, I used to have restaurants here in Vegas. I've had 3 restaurants at 26. I was the owner of them. Catastrophic situation. I was just a huge mess. No idea what the hell I was doing. So I carried out my new decision in an environment where there was no certainty outside of just knowing who I was. And then I had to deal with these emotions from the past of what the last loss was for my businesses. I mean, goddamn, that was just catastrophic, detrimental to everything. So I'm battling all this stuff as I'm doing this, the unknown, figuring out like what are my moves going to be. Nobody's here to save me, and it's true. Nobody is here to save you. You have got to figure these things out. And again, I'm fortunate that I have leaders and mentors, they so to call them, just pure good people in my life that have been able to answer questions for me, right? And so yeah, that's it. But they're not going to do anything for you. So there was a real important struggle that was happening there for me, where I had to go and basically say, okay, look, I got to figure out what my formula is. I have got to get back in touch with myself again, because if I let these emotions of what happened before dominate me going into this again, I'm going to get the same result, and I'm not interested in that. I've worked too damn hard for too long in 5 years to get to this point where it's time to get back in control. Because again, we have those inner conflicts and those battles on a regular basis. And had I not been doing all the things and taking all the actions to help set me up for those decisions, then I probably wouldn't be here on this, first of all, doing this with you right now, because I'd still be kind of holding tightly to, what's safe, and what really makes me feel comfortable in a sense. And again, I say that because, look, I was doing some cool stuff, but at the same time, I was being held back. I'm like, God, Lee, that's a very frustrating place to be when you're looking at and saying to yourself, damn, like I'm way more talented than that person. I know I can do it, but something's not letting me get there, right? Let me take these sandbags off my back. Let me take this weighted vest off, because look, it's just too hard to do it when you're fully at that place of having a lot of resistance. And damn, it is tiring, right? Very, very tiring. And so let me tell you something that has been very clear and evident that has worked for me, indefinitely, and always proves to be very true. And that's about doing it when you're not ready. And I mean it. Like, we can prepare. We had a great training call this morning. We are talking about this, taking action even when you're not ready. Um, it works. And for some reason, for the life of us, we think that it's going to be the end of our being. But jumping into that thing and getting started, muscling through and battling in the trenches is really what ends up becoming your best teacher. And with that, what you end up finding is that your learning experiences improve faster, right? So with the learning experience, it's important to remember that we want to shorten the learning curve, like, because there's a curve that it takes for us to get from one point to the next and become more methodical and more able to do what it is that we decide we do. Because again, look, I mean, we're always evolving. I mean, there's so much that I have no idea on how to do it or what to do, but it's every day you're jumping in, you're learning something new, figuring things out. I became a big fan of shortening the learning curve as fast as I possibly could. And a couple of things that helped me do that, just so you know, you could use this, um, which I found to be very effective, were: one, right upon learning something, right when you learn something new for the first time, immediately go back and train somebody on it or teach someone on it, right? Feed it back to them, because now you're articulating it in a way and you're figuring out how much you don't know by trying to communicate it, and offer your suggestions or your feedback to that individual as to why this could help them or what the benefit of that would be, what kind of an impact and feeling that's going to have on them, and really set them up, right? So that's a big thing. So if you're learning right now and you're going through a process and you're trying to figure some things out, learn it, do it, and then teach it, right? Learn it, do it, teach it. Teach it to somebody. You might say, oh, well, I don't know, but I'm not equipped to teach it. You're damn right you are, because somebody else out there right now is not as familiar with the subject matter. Maybe they're looking for help, and maybe they're not doing the work. So yeah, go out there and teach it to somebody. I promise you that will instantly, and I talked about this earlier, I would say hack, shortcut your learning curve and get you in position to do it. Whether you are, right, whether you feel like it's the right time or not. By the way, this is a double bonus, because not only are you going out teaching it, but now you're going to do it when you're not ready, which is that whole other emotional part, where now you're going to step in and help somebody out and train them. And you're going to get past what would be some of that resistance that you might be feeling, in order to set yourself up to get to that next level faster. Because remember, I'm about speed. I want to close the gap. I want to get to where I want to be in shorter amount of time. I don't want it to take me 50 years to do something, even though 50 years is going to go by. But why can't I do it in 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, right? See what I'm saying? All right. So the other thing that worked for me, in terms of improving, and really kind of shortcutting something, and being more proficient with how we communicate to ourselves, is this. And this is a kind of a shortcut and a secret that I don't really tell very often, but because it's important and it works, I suggest you do it. But going out, let's just say you have a favorite person that you like to follow, or that you listen to, or you admire in terms of them being an actor, or a famous musician or athlete for that matter, and they're a superstar, right? They just are a superstar, and you're like, dang, what do they do? How do they do it? Well, there's a certain way that they communicate to themselves, right? There's a dialogue that's taking place. And something that I learned, during this journey, shout out to Dr. Kevin Elko for kind of helping me understand this, one of the best I've ever met. at a lot of different things from a sports psychology standpoint, all kinds of buku championships, big time, big time. Studied ferociously under his content, what made him him, and all these other champions out there. But it's language, right? It's really how you communicate. And at the point that I was at during this, some of these transformations, by the way, like there's so much. There's so much to this that I welcome questions first of all. So feel free to connect with me. Um, shoot me a message at that same email that I said earlier, support@salesappeal.net, or find me on Instagram at the Real Super Manny, or on Facebook, Manny Vargas. Send me some messages if you have questions. Like, dude, I'm here to help. I'm gonna create some more cool stuff. Keep putting it out there. Keep sharing and keep helping you go down this journey of life. Well, if I can help you, great. If not, if you think it sucks and it's not any good for you, then, hey, thanks for coming. Have fun learning from someone else. But guess what? I'm going to keep going, and we're going to keep creating. And I promise you, in a couple of years, 5 years, 10 years, be like, holy shit, that kid, he is on a rocket ship. Because I'm already at that point where now I'm inside the rocket and it's starting to turn those engines up, baby. So going back to it, here, check this out. I know it kind of takes me a little bit to get around to a point, and not everybody likes it all the time, but nonetheless, follow, study, and watch interviews from performances, championship events, and documentaries where you get a chance to hear these people speak. And if you pay close enough attention to what they're saying in there and how they say it, but how they communicate with themselves, you're going to pick up some ideas as to what language they use, and you want to duplicate that, right? So I love Tom Brady. I love Aaron Rodgers. I love Michael Jordan. So I would literally go and watch their post-game interviews from the Super Bowls and other championship games, baseball, basketball, whether that was the finals or the World Series. Go study those interviews and listen to what they're saying. Write down, take notes, and pay attention to how do they communicate. Because I promise you, now you have a list of things you can say and speak into existence after you've listened through these, and you can basically recite them every day and rehearse and make that one unit with yourself and come across as this new individual. And now you're speaking like a champion, right? Because at the end of the day, look, if you're going to do something, do it the best you can, right? Do it to the best degree that you can walk away feeling a level of satisfaction, knowing nothing will ever be perfect. Because if you're going for the perfection, dude, you're going to be in paralysis. That's what I was trying to say. Paralysis for a long time, right? And sometimes the perfection is just a disguise for procrastination. By the way, it's something else we talk about in how to have conversations that convert. So we're talking about some real deep psychological adjustments at an identity level, how to communicate, how to connect, how to become an extraordinary communicator, how to get people to do what you want them to do, how to really interject a talent and a gift into your communication to get people to take an action. So remember, if you want to learn that from the online course that we've just put together, yours truly, belching it out at you, teaching you, training you, send me that email at support@salesappeal.net, support@salesappeal.net, and let me know that you're interested. We can get on the phone, you and I, because look, here's the cool part. I want to tell you guys this, like all these cool things I've done, all these great people I know, I still have to build a business from scratch. Again, ain't nobody coming to do my work. That ain't it. I'm in the trenches now. I'm building this damn thing from the ground up. I have to invest the money. I have to put in the time and the work and the systems and the processes. Like, that's what it takes. I can't just put this in here, and all of a sudden you're looking at Amazon of 20 plus years, and all of a sudden that's what it is on day 32, right? Like, you don't understand. It's so crazy and fun, but that's what's fun about it. For the first time in a long time, as a new human being, brand new outlook on life, great new people as a part of my life, lots of love, lots of conviction. And here I am. I've given birth to a baby, and it's time. And probably pretty soon to a real baby too. Whoop, did I just say that out loud? Yeah, I'm soon. I'm not saying that that's where we're at right now, but hey, we've had some talks about it. So And I just keep it real because that's just what it is. We're here to constantly make ourselves better and figure out new ways to continue to improve in our lives. So, like I said, go back, study the champions of whatever arena, no pun intended, that you think is the best to you, um, and get out there and shortcut that circuit. Learn, teach, shorten the learning cycle, get in there, feed it back, double down on getting in there. Um, Look, ideally, if situations were always going to be um, ideal and perfect for you, we wouldn't be living in this world. If resistance didn't exist, we wouldn't have shrinks, we wouldn't have Alcoholics Anonymous, we wouldn't have doctors, like we wouldn't have all these things that make the world go around. Therapists, I mean, I go on and on, right? Coaches right here. Because if there was no resistance, everybody would be living their full life. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if there was no resistance, which is that just dominating, invisible, just nasty SOB that keeps us from doing the things that we really want to do. And that's your job to figure out what is your resistance. Like, I don't know. I'll tell you my resistance and where I've had struggles and certain things that have kept me from doing more, what have you. But I'm just keeping it real. Like, that's just how I experience. Somebody else might not have that. For some reason, that just not a part of who they are. Look, we have situations, we have backstories. There's always a formula about where you've come from, where do you want to go, where are you at right now, and what the hell is keeping you from getting to where you want to be. What's the obstacle? By the way, that's another thing that we teach in terms of the conversation road and helping you help others have a massive transformation in their lives as far as it relates to the online course. I'm telling you, this course is just it's jam-packed with some stuff. Um, Look, I got all kinds of notes on this stuff. I mean, I can go in 1,000 different directions. I've got my big old book right here where I was taking some notes, and I just wanted to share some stuff with you all um, as I'm here. And if you're still here with me, thank you. I appreciate you for doing this. I'm trying to make it useful for you, where I'm tackling some things as far as a couple of the lessons that I've learned. Um, some ways to shortcut your business or your life, and I say that again. Manny said shortcut. Well, I said it in a way where you get what I'm saying, I hope, um, and it puts you in position to uh, really strikingly make a difference. One other thing that I think is important for us to kind of um, talk about is the importance of putting yourself in position with good leaders. Um, just because somebody is successful in a vanity type of way does not mean that they are a good leader. Okay? Pay very close attention to what I just said. Not always what is projected and what is shown and demonstrated. By the way, we live in a world where nothing but having your image on Instagram and Facebooks and damn, it's TikToks now and all these things. One thing that I've learned, God, this is so powerful, that has affected the very state of how we live our lives as a unit. I'm talking about as a human race, is the power of manipulation in media, in marketing, in the use of these mediums. And if you're asleep at the wheel, if you're not paying attention, then damn it, you need to wake up, right? And I mean, I can just share my 2 cents on this for half a second. Because look, I'm looking at the election right now. It's like crazy. You have people that are literally willing to kill the opposition. Again, induced, basically under the influence of something. Like, I don't care what party you support, um, how much you say. I really don't. But I'm going to help you kind of think about this for half a second differently. At a human level, at its purest point, let's just say you hate Donald Trump or you hate Joe Biden, right? Because that's just one side of your own. Maybe you're independent, looking somewhere else. If you're saying bad things or you're talking about someone that you don't know, please sit with me for a second. If you're saying something bad about somebody that you don't know, you have a problem. You have a serious problem because you're getting one side of the story. You're getting one projection. Why don't you go spend some time with that person? Think about this. Think about this in your own life, right? You probably had situations, whether it's with loved ones or friends or, acquaintances out there where it's like, somebody said something bad about that person to you, and then you know that person, and you're like, that's not true. That person's actually pretty amazing. Like, I know that person. That can't be possible because your experience with them is your experience, right? So if you're being persuaded and taken adrift by all the stuff that's going on out there, and you're catching yourself in an emotional, distressed situation, and you're firing up, and you're just so hard-headed and one-sided and stubborn, I'd check yourself. I would totally check yourself right now, because it is, if you are in fact authentic and being yourself, taking ownership, you can't have that type of negative hatred. Now, you can certainly confirm a bias and a belief because, like, the media makes you think this, but at a core level, if you don't know Donald, and I'm just using this as an example, or Joe, look, you can't go and say anything bad about these people. So before you go out there and start yip yapping and making a big old scene of some stuff, just take a step back and say, okay, maybe it's time for me to question. It's a big one. Maybe it's time for me to question the other side. Maybe it's time for me to look at something a little bit differently and see what's being fed to me, where I bought into it, but I don't know that that's necessarily true. I don't know that it actually carries any weight, because I've been so drunk, by the way. Like, I was literally drunk and high and, addicted to gambling, but you can be under the influence of a bunch of nonsense that other people are projecting on you and you not even know it, right? So how high, how drunk, how under the influence are you of what other people are making out a scenario, putting a story together, and you're buying into it without even questioning it? I mean, that's just crazy to me, right? So it's a really interesting way to look at it, especially right now in the middle of all this stuff that we're going on with, and how this works. But I say that because I want you to understand the power of being around good leaders. Good leaders make a difference. Now, to the degree that you lead yourself, to the degree that you make yourself a more powerful person, to the degree that you study who you are inside and out, you won't know the difference about good leaders and bad leaders per se. You won't, because you'll just be in the same position where you're just getting taken along for the ride. But when you truly become aware of self, and you've invested countless amounts of months and years in understanding this, you'll be able to say, that's a good leader, that's a shitty leader. I want to spend my time with the good leaders. So one thing that I did on my board right here, over here in my area, is I wrote, only work and partner with people who honor their word and are great leaders of themselves plus others, because that is so freaking important to me after these many years of being in different environments and sharing times with different people, to understand the difference and the value and the benefit of being connected to good leaders. It's night and day, right? Because you want to add value, you want to help other people out, you want to make them better. But if there are not good leaders around you, I don't care how much money they're making. I don't care how fucking fancy their car is. I really don't anymore. If they're distraught and it's all about the hype and it's all about the watch and all these other things, dude, I'm out. Like, I won't spend my time with them because I don't care to invest my time with them. And it's just the way that it works. So that was important for me to share with you, because I think that sometimes we can get disillusioned, right, and really start to um, lose sight of what really matters there, right? So look, I've shared some stuff with you. The good leadership is important. Do when you're not ready, get your foot off the gas and the brake at the same time. Get it on the gas fully. Stay on track with your creativity. I think I'd like to wrap this up, um, because again, I could talk for probably 24 hours straight on this whole thing and just keep coming up with stuff. I'm sure you're probably like, it's not enough, or it's more. Oh, come on, I get it. Like, that's the thing with creativity. It's like nobody's gonna ever be fully happy. Like, that's just the way you got to do it. You got to get out here and just jump in, start rocking and rolling, um, and get crazy with it. But the last thing, and this is something that my lovely lady said to me the other day. She's like, reading your book and knowing who you are today By the way, people that knew me back in the day, man, when I was high and partying and drunk and just like crazy, and who I am today, evidence, proof, proof that you can absolutely change who you are. Absolutely change who you are and make a new life for yourself and create something where you're proud of it and you feel that at this stage, I don't care if you're 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85, hell, if you made it to 95, good for you. I don't care. All I care about is that you, in your heart and soul, care about who you want to become because that's what's important. Figuring out who you want to become. Because look, and something I learned from Steven, we can't make decisions based off of where we're at. We want to make decisions based off of where we want to go. And to the degree that you still have something burning inside you and you know you got that, I assure you the clock is ticking. Never did I think I'd wake up one day and should I be 34 years old? My God. It's like, whoa, 34. All right. Hey, it's all good, man. I feel as young as I've ever felt and as strong and as energized and just ready to dominate as I've ever had, right? So I want you to realize, again, I'm not saying that I'm the guy that you have to follow. There are many other people out there, thousands of people out there that have alternate lives and are doing great things in a certain domain. You pick one of them, pick somebody, right? Um, to study, to follow, to realize that the evidence of the transformation is very, very real. Like, I didn't come on here to talk about all this stuff to, um, you know, share with it, share with you that like, hey, look at me. Although that's part of it, and that's my, it has inclusions of that, but it's really to show you, it's like, look, this is manufactured in the nitty gritty of doing the work and busting my ass every day for 5 years and like turning away other things and saying no to happy hours and doing all that crazy stuff again and really continuing to pour into that um, day after day, day after day after day after day after day, willing to make those sacrifices and trade off some of those things, some of those addictions that would keep you from living that life that you want. And that's really what made me want to jump on here because, um, again, I don't have all the answers. I don't know that this is going to benefit you the way that I've made it sound. Because you really got to do something with it. You got to do something about it. You got to put the boots on, you got to put the gloves on, and you got to get your hands dirty and get to work. Now, there's lots of ways to do it. I've learned that there is no single one formula to get to where it is you want to be. Um, you are going to have lots of turns and pivots and dips and peaks and ways like that. Now, you want to create something that kind of puts the bumpers in place where if you throw that bowling ball, it kind of gets you back in the lane and get you back to the heading towards getting that strike, right? But nonetheless, to the degree that you stay committed to learning and obsessing over becoming better and implementing, because implementation is so huge, execution is so huge, and it's in the implementation and the execution that we find that resistance and learn about the fact that when you want to sit down and write, it's not the writing part that is hard. It's to sit your ass down for the long period of time to get out what the writing is, right? That's the hard part. So teaching yourself and training yourself over a period of time to become this human being where you're like, wow, this is really happening. And I couldn't be more excited about this. And I'm still learning and I'm still figuring things out. I still have some areas that suck. I'm going to shed those away. And like I've just recently done, and what I'm so happy about to be here with you on is like, I've let an old part of me die again, right? I have just let an old part of me die off. Like, you're dead, dude. I no longer wanted to have anything to do with that SOB. 5 years ago, it was the drinking, the gambling, that party lifestyle. This time, it's that nastiness of just like the resistance, those fucking doubts and those fears and those uncertainties. It's like, no, no. I've done some good stuff, but you are not going to keep paralyzing me. You are not going to hold me back. And in that decision, true strength, right? So you out there, go out there and figure out what it is you want to become, who you want to be, where you want to go, plant your flag, and then get out there and realize that this is our one and only life. And the one and only life that we have right now is pretty spectacular. And that the fact that you're still here, you still have a little bit of breath, you're still functioning, means you have the ability to still turn a corner, make a difference, pivot, and really, really start to do some great stuff. All right. I don't even know how long this has been, to be honest with you. I don't have a timer. I'm not timing anything. I'm just going. Um, but I knew it was the right thing to do because, 5 years sober, November 6th, pretty incredible. I had to share for my own good too, like to share, get it out. Hadn't got it out very often, right? So like, again, the example. I want to be the example. Now it's your turn to go be the example for someone else. Show them that it's possible, right? And remember, if you haven't got my book, Las Vegas, right? It says not for resale because I just had it redone for those of you that see it on YouTube. Had it recovered and reprinted with some new stuff, updates. Go check it out. It's a great book. A lot of fun. It goes all the way up to the point where, I wrote the book, started a podcast, but then it chopped off. And then obviously everything moving forward was going and speaking and traveling and then doing stuff at Lightspeed and then separating from Lightspeed and going and starting my own business. And here we are in the business part, business building. Working on building my platform here, and I'm committed to this one this time, fully. Podcasting and all that cool stuff, getting that out, letting my gift fly, and building my business, my online training business, where we talk about how to have better conversations that convert, make you better human beings, right? Make you fully equipped so you can go out there and do a lot of the same things that I've been able to do, and that also in the context of this with Steven, that he's been able to show me and teach me on and do, and to the tune of tens of millions of dollars from big platforms and all different dimensions. So you're talking about some stuff that's, it's incredible. So that's what we got to do. We got to go out there and help as many people as we can. And because I said I would, to my lovely lady, I said, I'm gonna bring her on. Not right now though. Have her reveal her voice so you all can get a little taste of what I get to listen to and hear and connect with every night and grow and just completely be enamored with and fall more and more in love each and every day. And I think we're gonna do a podcast together. We're gonna do a podcast together. We're gonna talk about a little bit about how we've done some stuff. Like I'm in full-blown creative mode. Nothing's gonna hold me back, not even myself, because that's the one thing. But we're gonna get on. We're gonna talk kind of about our journey. It's relatively fresh, but we're both very evolved and foundationally share some of the same things in terms of our mindset, which is everything. Everything. I cannot stress to you enough. You can put the hottest chick on the planet in front of me right now, and if she does not focus on her growth and all this other stuff, it would not matter to me. That's why this lovely lady is everything I could have ever imagined, and then some. So yeah, we're going to do a podcast together here. So stay tuned for that. But otherwise, hey, if this is your first time here, taking everything I've learned from the last, 5 years, go out, leave me a review on iTunes, send me a nice comment, let us know what you thought, share it. Hey, share it, damn it. For those of you watching this on YouTube, by the way, you can go on YouTube, Always on the Grow, Always on the Grow YouTube. I don't think I have any subscribers right now because I just got it started. So look, who wants to be my first subscriber? Come on, help me build this baby. Let's go. It's got lots of cool stuff. We're starting to build the YouTube. We're building the business. Podcast, obviously, is being built. All in focusing on these things. Learning again. Like there's processes, there's formulas. I can create. I can be good here on camera and with my voice, but turning that into an actual machine and a mechanism that really automates and turns and burns and helps tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people. That's what we're going for, and that's what I'm here to do. All right. Well, you have a very blessed day. Hopefully, you found some value in this to some degree, but nonetheless, keep it up out there. Keep doing your thing. And remember, you're always on the grow. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.